Eureka! I found it. Hey people, y'all suffer this short story here. I promise you this won't be the same boring video. But I had a dream last week, about 6 days ago. It taken me 6 days to figure out exactly what it meant. And so in this dream, I was in a Mexican restaurant. I was in the kitchen, and this big boa constrictor was coming at me. And I'm not really afraid of snakes, but I don't like it when they're coming at me. But this one, it was coming at me like a playful puppy. He was bobbing his head around like he wanted to play. And this is one of them morning dreams that you wake up in. And I knew it had a meaning. I give it some thought, but it's taken me till now to figure out exactly what he was saying. So if you look at the ancient letter meaning chart, you'll see that this Eureka, they tell us in school that this means I found it. But if you drop the E off and just the Ureka with the ancient letter meaning chart, it means to the first life to give knowledge. You're the first one. Yeah, you found it. You're the first life to give knowledge. So I know I'm too crazy to be out in public, so I don't leave the house, but once a week I go get groceries and I stop by the Mexican restaurant because I love peppers and all their food. And so, you know, that part of the dream didn't get me. I didn't wake up to that until this morning, and I realized that my last couple videos have been really boring of people watching me. You know, some of it I can read good, and then other parts are slow and me trying to figure it out. And so I figured out that I needed to make my videos more interesting. And so I was going to do this before one time, because the first lines of all the chapters are really easy to read in the Hebrew. And I was going to scan over and just give you the first line of the books. And I got to Genesis 3, and I read through it, and bang, it got me. I understood everything about that dream. And so the story we got is, and now the serpent was more crafty than the other wild beast of the garden that the Lord God had made. And he said to the woman, "Did God say you should not eat from any tree in the garden?" So if we look at this in this ancient Hebrew here, this winoches I orum, from cliche, the side to raise wash. This so the to the noches, and that's your Spanish word for nights, and that's why this all happened in the Mexican restaurant. To the noches, to the night's eye, EYE, orum, to the night's eye lights, from cliche. And so, you know what a cliche is. If I was going to stick it in your brown eye, that's your butt. A cliche. To the night's eye, orum, from the cliche of the side, ESDE, the side. To raise, starts with an A, it reads backwards, RSA. To raise the wash. The wash is a beginning end cycle, and it's also a color of paint. It's also what happens on Saturday, on wash day. And so if you stay up all night, if we had 24-hour nights, you would be able to see this. This is the night's eye orum, and this is the eye right here. This is the North Star, and it's always there at the north. You can use it to find direction anytime. And this is the night's eye. If you had a time-lapse shot of this, it would be all concentric circles around this one point here. So when this was written, we had a different polar star, and the polar star was Thub, and this was the serpent's brown eye. This is right there around where you would find the butt of the serpent. This was the North Pole is still in the same place, but it's going to take 26,000 years to go all the way around. But this is where this was the knight's eye was sitting right here at the butt of the snake. So from the cliche of the side to raise wash. And so you can see this is the Little Dipper, and the tail of it is the North Star right now, Polaris. And so you can see it dips down. If you're in Egypt and you're looking up over the Mediterranean, you can watch this dip down, and then it raises the wash, and then it empties. And this changes throughout the year. If you went out and took a picture every night at 12 o'clock, this is what it would look like. It would go around. It would constantly go around, make a loop every year. So the side to raise wash, that's toward the east, the side is raising the wash. And it says you, and this A, tell me read this backwards. And this Mael, from Yel, and this is the god of constellations. Mayella was many ancient civilizations. Mayella was the creator god of oceans. But to raise the wash, you from Yell, to make word, to yammer, to make word, learn. And so this text, tell me read this backwards. It doesn't really matter. You could read it either way through here. But it says the and s. Learn this, the ass. The poke, or to open the knowledge. P-A, open knowledge. To give the works. And then this is going to read backwards first two and then forward. First from Amar. Amar is word. First from the word, from the yell. Lo, and lo means to know. K-N-O-W. To know the tackle. Tackle is the tools you're working with on the boat. To learn the tackle from the clocks of the jinn. And that's your clock. That's your hand of your clock. It spins around every 24 hours. From K-L-O-X, the jinn. And a jinn is not a garden. A jinn is a tool. And this is the clock's tool. So I want y'all to know that when I say God, I have no religion. And they're trying to show you where God comes from. It's the X marks the spot. And God's right there in your head. And it's being that I have no religion, that's I believe that's what makes it easier for me to hear what God's trying to say. All these religions were created for the sole purpose to keep you ignorant. They didn't want you to know how to read this, so they wrote you some simple books, took your language away. I'm sure they took all our Hebrew Bibles away when we got on the Mayflower to come over here. But it's all to keep you a servant. You're all slaves, whether you know it or not. If you get paid with these dollars, that makes you a slave. You are Obadiah. You work for Obadiah. And it's time for everybody to wake up and get rid of all your bullshit religious leaders and your government. They're all lying to you, and they want you ignorant. That way they can control you. All right, good day, folks.